to give a special shout out to our title sponsor, the Wyoming Innovations Partnership, which was created in 2021 at Governor Gordon's request to modernize and focus Wyoming's efforts to develop a resilient workforce and economy. The partnership involves the University of Wyoming, all of the state community colleges, the Wyoming Business Council, and the Department of Workforce Services. And the emphasis is on developing innovative solutions that support and enhance Wyoming's economy, workforce, and revenue sources. So our next speaker, Sarah Calhoun, embodies the mission of the Wyoming Innovations Partnership. Having grown up on a farm, leading trail crews and instructing for Outward Bound, Sarah became fed up with the lack of workwear for women. I'll let her tell her story, but essentially, with little experience in the apparel business, fueled by purpose, she started a business making Red Ants pants workwear for women. Her passion for supporting rural women grew into the Red Ants Pants Foundation and the Red Ants Pants Music Festival, which we're all going to go to next year. She's inspired entrepreneurs nationwide and is known for her dedication to rural communities and women's leadership, garnering her accolades like Montana's Entrepreneur of the Year, National Women in Business Champion for the Small Business Association, and induction into the Montana Business Hall of Fame. So I give you Sarah Calhoun.
Right. Well, thank you all so much for having me here. And gracias, Senadora Gonzalez. Holy smokes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are who we need in leadership, and we appreciate you. It's amazing. All right, so it's really good to gather together and do some worthwhile and necessary reflecting on leadership. Today I'm going to share a little bit of my story of rural leadership and rural entrepreneurship. It's a story of how we can do big things in small towns. So as we all know, women by nature are curvy, right? So we come in all sorts of beautiful shapes and sizes. Men, on the other hand, not so curvy. And ever since the gold rush, women have been wearing men's work pants when we need to get serious work done. And this squeeze of curves into squares results in a number of problems. So I was going through my own personal pants journey, if you will, having grown up on a farm, trying to find work pants that fit. I grew up in New England and received my degree in environmental studies from Gettysburg College. I went on to instruct for Outward Bound for years and working backcountry trail crews. And throughout this whole time, I was completely unsuccessful with my mission of finding pants that fit. Since I knew I was not the only woman struggling with this, I started talking to some other apparel companies that make men's workwear. There were at least a dozen on the market at that time for men. No one really jumped at the idea, but one guy said, well, if you're serious, why don't you start your own company? So at the age of 25, filled with a very great deal of youthful, very naive optimism, I said to myself, start a business? How hard could that be? Little did I know. So the first thing when starting a business was to find a name. Red Ants Pants popped into my head and it stuck. And it turns out that in an ant colony, it is the female ants that do all of the work, right? The male ants, they simply breed and die. That is a true story. Yeah. So in 2004, I moved to Bozeman, Montana. I had never been to the state. And at this point, I didn't even know what a business plan was. So I bought a copy of Small Business for Dummies, what everyone does, right? Actually, a very good read. In my very first weekend in Montana, I was reading this book at a local coffee shop. And it turns out the guy next to me, he started asking about what I was doing and what kind of business I wanted to start. And it turns out for the past 20 years, he had done production and design for a little company called Patagonia. I know. He took me to his shop a week later, gave me loads of contacts and advice, and he just said, "Sarah, I think you're onto something big here. I think you need to move on this now." Richard Sibrel is still one of my top mentors, and he's on my board of advisors to this day. So the next 2 years flew by as I engrossed myself in learning everything I needed to know about the apparel industry. And let me just say that it is not typical for a young woman with zero experience or education to just start a business. I knew nothing about product design or textiles or manufacturing or marketing or financing, none of it. So it was a very steep learning curve. And yes, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. So I first got a job sewing backpacks so I could learn the technical details of production. I designed the pants, sourced the fabric and trims, wrote my business plan, established financing, and developed the website and marketing strategies. At this point, I wanted to live in a small, rural, agricultural town, similar to where I grew up. And I had just read a book called This House of Sky by Ivan Doig, one of the best writers of the American West. And it sounded like a good town, so I moved into an old saddle shop on Main Street. And in 2006, I opened the doors to the international headquarters for Red Ants Pants, and the women cheered. So there were 3 things that I promised myself when I started this company. Number 1, if I cannot run a business with integrity, then I don't deserve to be in business. Nobody does. Number 2, thank you, that's good. Number 2 is I'll do everything I can to keep as much of our manufacturing made in America. And number 3, if I can't make it personal and have fun connecting with our customers, then I don't want to be in business. On paper, I'm somewhat of an unlikely candidate to own a company. But with a strong work ethic, a good sense of right versus wrong, and just knowing how to treat people well, it is not that hard to run a business with integrity. So at this point, I had a company, a name, a product, and a storefront, but on a shoestring budget. How do we get the word out about a new brand? How do you teach people about Red Ants Pants? So this is where making it personal and having fun comes into play. Why? It is Tour de Pants, of course. So I got an old Airstream trailer for $4,000 and took our pants on the road. We packed up the pants and spent months and months all over the US and Canada doing house parties. We got to know our customers face to face and we heard their stories. And that's a really important piece, I think. And we also had a beer sponsor. Shout out to Big Sky Brewing in Missoula. But the really neat part about being in business is realizing that these pants are meaning something to our customers. It's more than just a pair of pants. We received a letter from one customer who wore her Red Ants pants into surgery because they made her feel stronger. One biologist was backcountry in the Grand Canyon wearing her Red Ants pants while she got struck by a rattlesnake. Only one fang got through the double layer of canvas below the knee. Red Ants pants, saving lives. So that's the first chapter, all about the pants. So now I want to tell you a little bit more about the broader community and how the place where I chose to live and work has influenced this story. This is the more personal side. And as I am learning, the fundamental meaning of all of this work comes down to the human connection. So you remember how I decided to live in the middle of nowhere because I read about this little town in a book? Well, here is why. Ivan Doig wrote this of his hometown, White Sulphur Springs, Montana, from his memoir, This House of Sky. It is not known just when, in the 1860s, the first white pioneers trickled into our area of south central Montana, into what would come to be called the Smith River Valley. But if the earliest of them wagoned in on a day when the warm sage smell met the nose and the clear air lensed close the details of peaks 2 days' ride from there, what a glimpse into glory it must have seemed. A glimpse into glory indeed. Doig's description grabbed me. I first read this from my bedroom office in Bozeman back in 2004. This continued from Doig. Whatever the prospects might seem in a dreamy look around, the settlers were trying a slab of lofty country, which often would be too cold and dry for their crops, too open to a killing winter for their cattle and sheep. They might take a bad winter or a late and rainless spring to bring out this fact, and the valley people did their best to live with calamity whenever it descended. But over time, the altitude, the valley source sits over a mile high, and the climate added up pitilessly. And even after a generation or so of trying the valley, a settling family might take account and find that the most plentiful things around them were sagebrush and wind. Montana holds much romanticism and cachet, and for good reason. But truth be told, this landscape is equally as tough as it is majestic, as harsh as it is visually stunning. And Doig didn't breeze over that. He told the truth: sagebrush and wind. I knew then that I wanted to live there. I wanted to know these ranchers and the descendants of these settlers. I wanted authentic Montana, and I sure got it. White Sulphur Springs is a 900-person ranching town located about 100 miles from any city. It is the county seat of Marr County. Doig told stories of the Stockman Bar and the bullet holes that can still be found within. Bullets from the wild days that were not all that long ago. I'm not sure what exactly about this appealed to me. Perhaps the wildness, the fact that White Sulphur felt somehow more old-fashioned than most places. Or perhaps it was because it felt as though anything were possible. I got the sense that in a town like this, no one tells you what to do or what not to do. I renovated the old brick saddle shop to reveal the original tin tile ceilings from 1880. I settled into the living quarters directly behind the shop and even had 2 apartments upstairs for rental income, $4.25 a month. And the best part is that it is only 17 steps from my front door to the Stockman Bar. Perfect, I had found my place. But that first winter, I had chimney fires and frozen pipes. My toilet bowl literally froze solid. I had one tenant bring bloody bar fights home, and the other tenant had his gun go off and a bullet lodge in his leg while upstairs. I remember the very first Chamber of Commerce meeting I attended. The Economist magazine had just released a report naming Marr County as the lowest income of any county in the entire nation. Good pick, Calhoun, good pick. But White Sulphur is the kind of town where for generations, its inhabitants have been shaped by the landscape, moved by the mountain views, yet hardened by the wind. The raw winters keep a person honest. It's the kind of place where you need a lot of grit, hard work, and dependable friends and neighbors to make it. The work ethic that flows through the blood of these people runs as deep as the Smith River in its canyon walls. Ben Bullington, a dear friend and recently deceased songwriter, was the town doctor for many, many years. His song, White Sulphur Springs, sums up this place well. Dreams don't come easy on $7 an hour. Maybe it's a matter of what kind of dreams you have. The trout streams and the air is clean, and money don't mean everything in a place called White Sulphur Springs. Ben always told me I should write the book on how to move into a rural community. But honestly, I was just being human. I was lonely and just a little bit scared. Trying to start an apparel company is hard enough with no experience, but trying to do it in a town where I didn't know a soul was much harder. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I pitched in. I volunteered as an EMT on the ambulance, joined the Arts Council, coached volleyball, helped out at local brandings, and moving cows. I got to know the people, and slowly but surely, they got to know this outsider and took me in. I love that small towns and rural areas, they force us to find commonalities with people we otherwise wouldn't. We need each other. And once we do, it makes our character a whole lot richer. So in 2011, I was named Entrepreneur of the Year by our governor. In 2012, I was named by the Small Business Administration the National Women in Business Champion. Thank you. I was also invited to the White House, all incredible honors. But the meaning of this didn't sink in until I returned to White Sulphur from my trip to DC. I headed to the Stockman Bar for a burger. There was a cattle shipping party going on, so the place was packed with ranchers. And unbeknownst to me, the local paper had written up a piece on my going to the White House. And there must have been a dozen different ranchers that came up to me that night and simply said, "Sarah, you've made us proud." I know they say it's business, it's not personal, but I honestly think that's bullshit. I strongly believe that if we do make it personal, then we treat each other a whole lot better. This holds true for our community, our customers, our vendors, our supply chain, and our employees. If we build honest personal relationships, then we all win. So after about 5 years in business, we had survived the economic downturn back in '08, the last one, and we were hiring more and more employees in rural Montana. But I realized we needed a big marketing push. It was time to come together and bring people together to celebrate. So I decided to throw a party, a big one as it turned out. So in July of 2011, in a cow pasture just outside of town, 6,000 fans attended the first ever Red Ants Pants Music Festival. This tripled the county's population, you guys. It was by far the riskiest move of my life. I was working off a $0 budget, hoping that we could sell enough advance tickets that I could pay for the talent deposits. And very fortunately, it worked. The community rallied hugely around the event, and it literally took the whole town to pull it off. Ranchers lent their land, augers, mowers, even helicopters. High school groups earned money picking rocks and filling in gopher holes. The football team collected trash throughout the weekend. The county crews watered the dirt roads. The city supported our efforts with fire, EMS, and law enforcement. We had a core crew of staff and hundreds of volunteers. And none of us knew what to expect that first year. It was like a field of dreams. I can remember the first day we opened the festival campground, and I could not believe my eyes when I looked up and saw the line of cars and trucks and campers in sheep wagons that just lined up and stretched miles down the valley, as far as you could see. We built it, and they sure came. We literally bought out the entire toilet paper supply across 3 counties. And on that note of toilet paper and such, please remind me to talk about our porta potty situation and the Q&A after this. But the best part of the festival is that it brings people together. You can give them good music, good beer, and an incredible landscape, and they cannot help but to connect. One of my favorite pictures from that first year was of two men with their backs to the camera. They didn't appear to know each other well. They were both having a beer and enjoying the show. And on the back of one guy's shirt, it read, "Save the planet." And the other guy, who must have worked for an asphalt company, his shirt read, "Pave the planet." You can't make that shit up. It's exactly what we need right now. And the town sheriff, with whom I worked very closely, at the end of that first festival, he texted me and he said, "Great job, Sarah. I'll never arrest you for anything." And you can bet I still have that text in my phone. But one of the things that sets our festival apart from other music events is our demonstration area. So we do a lot of demos of traditional agricultural and work skills, including sheepdog trials, ranch horsemanship, crosscut saw competitions, and the ever-popular meat cutting. So this consists of a hindquarter of a beef hanging off of a tractor, and an old-time butcher would come down out of Belt, Montana, and he would cut off the beef into steaks, pass it over to a guy, throw it on the grill, and the crowd got to sample it. You can see why it was popular. But the first year we did this old-time butcher went to slice off a big old chunk of beef, and it slipped and hit the dirt. So he picked it up and trimmed it off and carried on. And it was overheard in the crowd, some guy saying, "Man, this is awesome. The only place you can find this is Montana or Mexico." So we must be doing something right. So also it's worth noting, I think, that learning a whole new industry of music and event production has also been a steep learning curve. As you can imagine, Nashville is very male-dominated. But learning how to wheel and deal with booking agents boils down to, again, treating people well and building relationships. It's always been important for me to book a diverse lineup of artists, which is not the trend these days, you guys. And I have received comments like, "Wow, it's so female forward." And I literally have 50% of the bands are female led, 50%. So come on, guys. But you're all invited, and hopefully you will come. It's always the last weekend of July this year for our 15th annual music festival, July 23rd through 26th in White Sulphur Springs. Come on up. But perhaps the most important element of this festival is that it is a program of and fundraiser for the Red Ants Pants Foundation. So this is our nonprofit branch. Our foundation is in support of women's leadership, working family farms and ranches, and enriching rural communities. Our values include cultivating a strong work ethic, encouraging self-reliance, maintaining traditional work skills, and my personal favorite, providing opportunities for people with different perspectives to connect, build bridges, and discover common ground. There's one story I should tell you about that. There was this fantastic legendary journalist out of Helena, and she witnessed this go down. She saw this big, burly biker dude down front in front of the stage, and he was wearing his leather cuts, his leather vest, over a tank top that read, "I eat hippies," okay? And so he's down front waiting for the next set, who happens to be Todd Snyder. And I don't know if any of you know Todd Snyder. He literally got kicked out of our only hotel in town because of all of the weed he smoked. He comes on stage barefoot. The crowd goes wild for him, and this big burly biker dude kind of looks to his left and looks to his right, and then very slowly zips up his vest. It's like, yes. Small steps, but we're heading in the right direction. So we've awarded a total of $200,000 with our grant program with proceeds from the festival across all of rural Montana. We think it's really important to keep paying this forward. And Our grant focus is currently on enriching these small towns, and we really see the value of small town community development, and that often our bigger resource pool does not extend down to our rural areas, and we are trying to change that. Thank you. Oops. So additionally, you're also all invited for this. We also hold work skills or workshops for women. These are 4-day classes up in White Sulphur Springs, and we teach chainsaw and carpentry, dovetail joinery, and our newest one is trailer backing. Saving marriages one boat ramp at a time. It's very fun and really fantastic to be able to learn this very handy skill in a place where no one is telling you how to do it, or mansplaining, if you will. And our newest program is a Women in Agricultural Communities retreat. We do these also in White Sulphur, and we're creating an intentional place for women to connect and to learn some resilience and restoration tools, often through writing and reflection. And we are all just so isolated in our rural ag communities. So a lot more info of all of our programs at reddancepantsfoundation.org. Also, we're heading into our 8th year of doing these girls' leadership programs. This is absolutely essential. This kind of curriculum, I feel like, needs to be on the high school curriculum for all ages, all genders, everywhere. But it's a year-long leadership study, and we select 8 rural girls a year. It's a free program. We pair them up with young professional mentors. They do a community project they design and execute in their hometown, and we're really trying to build hope for our youth, pride in our rural communities, and strength and courage in our collective leadership. And there's also, with that, once you graduate, you're part of our alumni program. We have probably 90 gals already, and we're really trying to work on building a good old girls club and provide a lifelong network. Yeah. All right. Really seems essential these days to train up good leaders and get them out there leading in all of our towns, our businesses, our churches, our nonprofits, and our governments. We need leaders with integrity and heart. We need loud leaders and quiet leaders. We need exuberant leaders and creative leaders. We need leaders we can trust that exhibit self-awareness and, again, integrity. So over the last 15 years, we have had up to 18,000 people attend our music festival. We've had headliners like Merle Haggard, Emmylou Harris, Winona, Dwight Yoakam, Charlie Pride, and the wonderful Brandi Carlile. The Governor's Office and Department of Commerce wrote an economic impact study on the festival. This was back in 2013. And they predicted that up to $2.8 million would change hands in our little town that weekend, just that weekend. That's not the secondary and tertiary effects we're seeing year-round. I can't say for sure that the White Sulphur economy has improved, because I don't have the data, but we have a new brewery, new retail shops, new restaurants, new streets and sidewalks, a new bakery, a gym, they go hand in hand, a barn quilt trail, a new school, a new library, and our new hospital just broke ground. We also did a lot of downtown beautification, which is a big deal, as you know in Jackson. It's beautiful here. But ours was to fundraise for carriage lights up in downtown, and this was the best fundraiser title ever. It was called Get Lit, White Sulphur. And I can proudly say we are no longer listed as the county with the lowest income in the nation. So a few winters back, I received a letter from Ivan Doig himself, a real handwritten letter on actual stationery. It was enclosed with a copy of his recent book. He had heard about Red Ants Pants and of his influence on my settling in White Sulphur Springs. He told me he was really glad I had found his hometown and am making it perk. So here's to making it perk in all of our hometowns. I believe in the potential of doing value-driven business in communities. May they be rural, global, virtual, or in a dusty cow pasture. Bringing people together is worth it every time. So in our 10th year of business, we finally sat down to write our mission statement. This is something you're supposed to do in the beginning, says the Small Business for Dummies book. But I felt that we had to earn it. We had to put boots on the ground and prove our lofty value statement. And I do believe we have. At Red Ants Pants, we provide workwear for women, for the makers and the growers, the builders and the doers. We support them with humor and heart, quality and class, integrity and courage, always. And I will leave you with this. This is a welcome letter I wrote for our festival newspaper. Thank you for being here and for being an integral part of making this field of dreams rise to life. Thank you for the hard work you do and for making time to come and celebrate. These mountains have been here a long, long time. They have been silently watching we humans in this valley for hundreds of years now. They have watched us make peace with warring tribes to share the healing hot springs. They have watched us build homesteads and one-room schoolhouses. They have watched us pull silver, gold, and copper from these rich veins and timber from these dense forests. They have watched us raise sheep and horses and the best Black Angus steaks you'll ever taste. And now these mountains look down upon us today. Let's show them that there is a hell of a lot of hope for humanity, that having a little integrity, a strong work ethic, and a big heart is really all we need to be good neighbors, good families, and good people. And that we can all come together in this sweet clover cow pasture and just be human. Enjoy. Enjoy yourself, but even more importantly, enjoy each other. Thank you. Thank you all.
So let's talk about those outhouses.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. So this is funny because, when you start new businesses or new nonprofits and whatnot and start doing event production, you don't really know how much time and how intimately you're going to get to know dealing with waste, right? But it's a very essential part to any sort of music event, as you all know. So for years, we were working with Republic Services. I don't know if they're down here or not, but a big corporate trash company, right? So they still do our trash. And this year, they decided they were going to get out of the porta potty side of their business, which they had kind of expanded in our region. So they just donated 108 shitters to the Red Ants Pants Foundation. So now we are proud owners, but this is a challenge I'm putting out to all of you. If you think of anything great, please let me know, because we are starting a little side hustle, because this is how we fund nonprofits these days, right, folks? Am I right? We are leasing them out to another guy in town who has a fantastic yet small and mighty company called the Smith River Floaters. So now the challenge is out and it is accepted. We are getting literally 20% of the gross profits from everything he leases from us. So I was like, wait a minute, gross profits, that's a great name. But I think even better, the one in the running right now, and we're voting at our board meeting tomorrow. So please let us know if you have better ideas. The current winner is Ants on a Log. Thank you, Sarah. I've been wanting to bring that into the speech, but I haven't really worked it in. It's so recent. Very exciting news. So, solid waste management, the glory of it all.
Can't top that.
We got one in the center right here. Wow. Whoa.
Hi, I was just curious if you received any pushback just for all the growth in the small town. Just curious about that.
Yeah, great question. It was really important to me, not only for the professional success, but like I was living here, and this is a very, like you want to belong in a place, right? And moving into an area that is, I mean, it's similar in size to where I grew up, but you know, the politics are a little different, and these classic cow towns they're pretty conservative, and they don't necessarily like change, so it's a very valuable question. And it was really important to me to be accepted by the community and welcomed with this idea. And I put a lot of work into really making the relationships, making sure they were solid. There's some, you know, I'm sure there's some folks at the bars that are there like talking crap when there's more people in town, but it's overall it is so well respected and well supported, and I say that truthfully. I wouldn't be able to do it on my own, or it would just feel too scary to try it without being supported. So it's been, and it's, I mean, the economic benefits of the, you know, like the cafes have their best day, you know, weekend they've had in 30 years kind of thing. So it's they've learned to buy extra eggs. I'll put it that way. And it's really, really a point of pride. There was a guy that, he's a ranch, like third, fourth, fifth generation rancher. He was out of college, and he came pretty tuned up one year at the end of the first festival, I think, and he leaned over the beer tent. He was like, Sarah, he's like, people are always asking me like where I'm from and making fun of the fact that I was from White Sulphur, but now they say, oh, that's where the Radiance Pants Festival is, right? And he was like, and now I'm really proud to say I'm from White Sulphur. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you, Sarah. What's a time when your efforts maybe failed, or when you had a really big growth moment that you were like, wow, that was really hard, and how did you navigate that through to be here on stage talking to us? Like, what was that? I don't know, maybe a defining moment, or just a moment where you really took it to heart and like, this is a really important lesson for me to learn about business in a small town.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, there's so many. I think initially, like from the pants side, like hiring someone who knows finance and the money management part is really, really key. And I was told that, but you, of course, when you're starting up and bootstrapping a company, you have to wear all the hats, and you can't be good at all the hats. Nobody can, right? And finance and like wanting to make money is actually not something I'm good at, which is turns out a problem when you're in business. My nonprofit's killing it over here. But you know, working through it when I probably should have made some bigger shifts sooner, because starting a pants company and then the festival we had no idea was going to turn into such a monster that was a wonderful monster, but one we had to wrangle and, you know, get the systems and the legs under this event. And then the whole foundation, it all happened, too much happened too soon. And I burnt myself out really, really badly. Like self-care is, you know, the thing we hear, but it's real. And if we're not there to take care of ourselves and take care of everyone else, then no one else is. And recently, this last, about a year and a half ago, I finally hired a CEO for the pants company, and we brought on investors, and now we're finally growing the pants company, and I can only work on, you know, bigger, high-level decisions, and I don't have to be in the weeds on that anymore. So recognizing our limits and what's necessarily a healthy limit, I think, is a really big lesson. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This thing is so cool.
It is.
I like toss. You're amazing and so powerful. My question was just asked. Thank you.
Okay.
Follow-up question, because I think we probably all need to hear it. What are your self-care practices? And what's a sign that you're at burnout or capacity?
The emergency room during the festival, twice. That's not good. One was just this tooth situation that was overrated. But for self-care, I would say I love my pets, I love cooking, I love reading, I love the garden, I love getting out into the hills, all of those things. I also drink whiskey, which I'm not saying that's healthy, but a little bit, it's all in proportion, right? It takes the edge off. And then lots of water all day, that's big. Hydrate yourself, water yourself. And I think the thing that's really helpful is talking to your people and being vulnerable about sharing the shit that is hard, because a lot of it is hard, especially now. And yeah, the burnout is real, because we, as women especially, and thank you to all the wonderful gentlemen in the room, it is, we take care of others, right? That's just what we do. And we do a much better job of taking care of them once we're in good shape. So, yeah, good question. All right.
Do we have time? Okay. I won't throw it like that again.
Yeah, throw like a girl, come on.
Thank you. You have a wonderful gift of the narrative of your story and your life, connecting your head, your heart to action. And I'm wondering if that is part of the mentoring that goes on in your program, and how did you learn those skills, and how did you perfect those skills, and why is that important to you?
Great question. Started out with FFA in high school, public speaking, yes. Excellent program. And I ran for president my freshman year and was president of my class all 4 years running at my little public school back in Connecticut. I think, it's easy for me to stand up here and talk about my story, because that comes naturally. But I do feel like the storytelling component of all of our stories is essential, especially when we're again taught these systems we're living in, right? They tell us to, we don't boast, we don't, it's bullshit. It is really bullshit. And the more storytelling we do in any way we can, all the amazing podcasts and books, and you're gonna hear from a lot of phenomenal storytellers tomorrow and their incredible stories. And it's really important and it's worthwhile. And we all, often self-doubt it just creeps in, and it's also bullshit. And just keep propping your sisters up out there, because we need to keep hearing it and keep sharing these stories and echo them throughout, because the world needs more of us, that's for sure. Yeah. All right, wonderful.
This is a hard-hitting question. So when is your brew line or whiskey line happening? I know it was a hard-hitting question.
Wait, when is it hitting?
Yeah, when are you gonna start your new?
Oh my God! How
what
are
up?
you? For real? I literally just sent
You're welcome. We'll be
a
in
text.
touch.
Yes, yes. To one of my board members today, saying, "All right, I know that the Red Ants Fans Foundation has to have either a wine or a whiskey line, whiskey preferably." So that literally happened today. I'll show you the text in my pocket. So yeah, very soon. Thank you. Are you with Wyoming Whiskey? Are you with Wyoming Whiskey? No. Oh. Yay, good. Excellent. Well, me too.
Okay, is this working? Cool. This is really neat. Okay. So this is total polar opposite to the whiskey question, but I also come from the East Coast. I'm from Massachusetts, so East Coast represent. And coming out to the West and having, I guess my question is on mental toughness, coming out to a rural community and having a little bit of that stigma and trying to kind of see your vision grow. How those challenges and kind of that drain, when your motivation ran out, what kept you determined to keep on pushing?
Good one. So yeah, East Coast is like a bad word in rural Montana. And to your point about Yale, I totally get it. And there are some, I do want to stand up for some rural East Coast places we do get to know each other as well. But you're not wrong with that assumption and that experience. I think, oh gosh, the thing that I think worked for me was you come to a town, I was not trying to change the community or improve it or do anything. I wanted I was there because I wanted to see what it was all about, and I observed and I got into it in a really grassroots, fundamental, grounded way, I think. And then it was over time, like it was 5 years, 6 years before I even thought about starting the festival, when I kind of felt this, a space that this could fill and help some things out. But, so I think getting to know the place is really important, and listen and pitch into what's going on around you. Yeah, and then, there's plenty of scary times, like cash flow. Cash flow is a bitch, right? All the way across. Like plenty of times where I was like, okay, I don't have money, and I don't have any of my family out here. I'm 26. What is happening? What did I choose? I think my mother was horrified on some levels. They're very proud now. But I think, I'd stuck my neck out publicly and very, and financially and everything else. And I think my pride definitely helped with some of my stick-to-itiveness. Not that that's healthy, but it did. I wanted to make this thing work. So, yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yay, well, thank you all so very much. Appreciate it.